Sheikh Al-Azhar Sharif is probably one of the most significant theologians and teachers in the Muslim world. Now it's a great privilege to invite Msgr Franco to give us a short address.
How short? I have to tell you that when I was young, I was assistant to most probably the greatest communicator of the 20th century. His name was Bishop of Canterbury. We had a small audience of 40 million people who told me to be brief. However, because I could go on as Lynn knows for a long time, I decided to write something. First of all, allow me to thank His Grace Bishop Welby for hosting this important event, but also allow me to say how impressed I was from the candor expressed in his remarks made together with the Holy Father Pope Francis on February 5th, 2023. During the interview accorded to the journalist on the plane, returning from the historic journey to South Sudan, you also mentioned your grace, the great inspirational work done by your wife before and in preparation to that journey. Thank you, Your Grace. Thank you. I would like to acknowledge also the presence of Bishop Walker, the Reverend Malcolm Brown, and my friend, the Professor Karam. I have to say today is Ramadan Mubarak. And to greet the other religious leaders who were present spiritually through the messages you have sent. By way of introduction, I wish to quote Pope Francis' response to a question posed to him recently on the 10th of March 2023 in an interview granted to an Argentinian interviewer, journalist from Infobol. This is the question of the journalist. I am going to read to Your Holiness 4 very short statements you made, and you tell me if I arrange them correctly and if I understand them correctly. Number 1, I am not condemning capitalism. Number 2, I'm not against the market. Number 3, in no way it is wrong to create wealth for the benefit of all. Number 4, that who generates jobs should be recognized. Your Holiness, is that correct? The answer of Pope Francis: correct. Much has been accomplished by the Council for Inclusive Capitalism, trying to put into action and practice what had been proposed by the Holy Father Pope Francis in addressing the Fortune Times Global Forum. Lynn remembers that on December 3rd, 2016. We had 147 CEOs from all over the world. At that papal audience, the Holy Father said, I encourage you to continue to work the work you have begun, and to seek ever more creative ways to transform our institution and economic structures so that they may be able to respond to the needs of our day and in service of the human person, especially those marginalized and discarded. End of quote. At this point, allow me to quote what I wrote in my latest book, 6 Popes, my experience with the 6 popes I served. I quote, 3 months later, after that audience, in February 2017, however, noting that there was nothing that had resulted from that historic event, I expressed my disappointment to a lady who had been at the audience, Lady Lynn Rothschild. Her good cheer was infectious, and so together we brainstormed a follow-up to the forum, namely a Council for Inclusive Capitalism. The beginning was called Prosperity, remember This would build on the willingness of some of those CEOs to take seriously the Pope's exhortation. As the one to whom were addressed the letters written for the constitution of this council, on behalf of the Holy Father, Pope Francis, by His Eminence Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Secretary of State, on February 16, 2018, and of His Eminence Cardinal Peter Turkson on April 12, 2018. In response to my request expressed in the letters of July 16 and September 27, 2017, I am happy to learn that so much has been done so far through the wise guidance of Lady Lynn and also at the beginning of Cardinal Peter Turkson. Since I have been part of this historic project, from the beginning, I hope and pray that it may become a reality what Pope Francis has so vividly described during the special audience granted to the Council on that famous November 11th, 2019. And I quote, "You have taken up the challenge of realizing the vision of the Forum by seeking ways to make capitalism become a more inclusive instrument, and let's do so for integral human well-being." End of quote. Let me impress upon the steering committee of the Council the urgency of implementing the concrete action which has been the fulcrum and the goal of the Council since its beginning. In a world torn apart and scourged, among other problems, by 29 wars, not only Ukraine, my dear friends, raging across the globe, the action of this Council could really give a sign of true commitment and contribute to an historic change for the present and future generations. As the prosperity and security of billions around the world is once again threatened by the pariah of inflation, you, as the forward-thinking business leaders of the world, need to ask yourselves, is the poison pill of recession is the only solution to the problem? Understandably, monetary policy makers have limited means at hand, hence raising interest rates to cripple business financing and reverse economic growth. Government legislators have the power to impose taxes that could prove to be another solution, as the windfall profit tax recently imposed by the European Union. But legislators dependent on special interest campaign financing lack the will to impose, therefore, financial penalties on their supporters. It is within the power of the business community to find a less painful method of curtailing inflationary trends and create a more stable world economy that is less susceptible to the boom and bust cycles that have plagued capitalism since its inception. I feel that the call to action of Pope Francis in 2016 is the way to that solution, a world in which businesses see the prosperity of their communities as the best means to their continued profitability and seek to increase the health and security of their employees and customers as a guarantee of their continued success. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the call with which Pope Francis has challenged and is challenging you. You can do it. We need to do it. So let's do it. Thank you, Lady Lynn, and everyone at the Council for your enthusiastic commitment to this venture, so important, as I continue to emphasize for the future of mankind. Let me conclude with the words written a long time ago, but still very, very important today, by a doctor of the church. His name was Anthony of Padua. One day he wrote, "Actions speak louder than words. Let your words teach, and your actions speak." Thank you.